Okay. Today we're going to start from Metzia Metzia. That's on Nunbay's 52a. See that? The two dots? It's about 10 lines from the bottom, 11 lines from the bottom. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. It's list of our learning. We should have the base of Migdash, learning the Nishma, Sava Gold, the Bas Baruch Binyamin, and also Tanel Zev and Ben Sian. Whoever needs Refuah Shlema. Okay. Mishnah says we're talking about a coin that gets worth less. Gets worth less. That gets worn out, and now it's worth less because it's worn out. So, at what point are you not allowed to exchange it for its original value? So we said there's a whole machlekes over here: Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, Reb Shimon. Either if it's 1/24 less, 1/12 less, or 1/6 less, and then we said. And we said if it's less than that, what's the exact expression? Pachis mikan iser. Yeah, this is in the Brisa. The Brisa said how much less at a certain point it gets worth, if it's worth half of its value, if it goes down to half of its value, then you can still use it at half of its value. You can still use that coin at half its value. If it gets less than the half mark, then you can't even use it at the half for the half mark, right? If it gets less than that, the Gemara's expression. The Bryce's expression is that if it gets less than it, an iser is a type of coin, a very small coin, but it's a coin. Gemara says, "My kamar, what does it mean to say if it gets less an iser? If it gets less, even the smallest amount, you can't use it any less than the half mark." Amar Abaya hachi kamar. Abaya explains this is what it means to say. Pachsa sela yosem iser aser. If the sela, which was the original coin, gets worth less, it means less than the shekel. By an iser, one iser coin, then you can't use it. Amalei Rava says yachfil masher nami. If it gets less than the shekel, then you can't even use it, even if it's a drop less. What do you mean an iser? Alama Rava, what Rava is saying, Pachsa sela iser ledina aser, the stomach Reb Meir. Really, what it's saying is it's making a stam brisa. Stam brisa follow Reb Meir's view. Reb Meir's view was that 1/24 of a sela is not is considered already. It's considered price fraud. And what it's saying over here is that if every iser, if every dinar gets worth less one iser, then that would be 1/24 of the sela, and you can't exchange it for its original value. Okay, Tanan. Start in the Mishnah. Tanan Hasan started the Mishnah. Let's say there was a sela that which is a coin that got worn down, and you decided to use it as a weight. So originally, when it's a coin and has it's considered like something of substance, so it's going to be makabel tumah. But if it gets worn down, then really it shouldn't be makabel tumah. But because you can't use it, but because you decided to use it as a weight, so it becomes a keli. And a keli is makabel tumah again. So it's makabel tumah because you're using it as a weight. How much can it be worn down? You should still be allowed to use it. So l'sela shnei dinarim. Sela, which worn down up until half, you can use it as the half mark. Pachas mikan, but if it gets any less than half yakuts, then you have to cut it. Yesral kein mai. Let's say
I have to cut it.
Yeah, you have to cut it. Means you have to destroy it. You can't use it. Yesral kein mai. Let's say it gets more. Not gets more. Let's say it didn't decrease up till the half mark. It's at a level that's higher than the half mark. What's the halacha? So there's a machlekes here. Amar Ravuna. Ravuna says pachas mikan yakuts. If it's less than the half mark, then you have to cut it. Yesral kein. If it's more than the half mark yakuts, you also have to cut it. But only at exactly the shekel mark would a seller be acceptable? But if it's anything more than that, you may fake someone that it's really a seller, and if it's less than a shekel, you make fake someone that it's really a shekel. Yeah. However, Rabami argues on Rav Huna. He says, "Pachas mikan yakas." If it's less than the shekel, you're right. You have to cut it because you may fake it that it's a shekel. But yesel can yikayim. So, but you can keep it if it's more than a shekel, because you can't fake it that it's a seller, because people will know that it's not a seller. You see, the difference is because the seller coin was a different shape. Was it not a different shape? Was a different width than the shekel coin. So if you could see that it's worn down, you can see it's not the original. But once the shekel was a different width than the seller, so you could still think that it's the value of the shekel, even when it's really not, when it's worn down a lot. Because then it's hard to rearrange the shape in your mind. Okay. Meisvei, Gemara has a question. Yes, if it's more than the half mark, it says you're allowed to sell it, you're allowed to exchange this coin, but not exchange it for its original value, but for its value that it is right now, because it's worn down. My love, is it not? That it got worn down more than the amount of Eina, and it's not up to the half mark, right? And it's a kasha on Rav Huna. Rav Huna says you have to cut it. Umar says la yisera. The akati leipachsim mikdei nasa. What does this mean? La yisera. It's shepachsi yesem la yisera the akati leipachsim mikdei nasa. What it means is that it didn't reach the level of the Aina, which is even like 1/24 or whatever it is. How much is that? That was a big machlekes plus the Nasa on the coin. But whatever the case is, even in that case, Meicher B'Shab, you could sell it for its value, but not its original value. Which says 1 second. You sell it for its value. Meisfiad, Kama Tifchus V'Yashel Kaima, you sell at shekel. Says that if it gets worth less, you're allowed to keep it. If it's a seller and it gets worth less, you're allowed to keep it until it's a shekel. My love, is it not the pachas porta that it's getting worth less step by step? It's getting worn down bit by bit. Now, according to Rav Huna, if it's not a shekel, you can't keep it. You're only allowed to keep it either if it's at the exact mark of a shekel. But any more than that, you have to cut it. Any less than that, you have to cut it. So how did it get worth less to the shekel? If it keeps getting worn down, you weren't allowed to have it throughout that whole duration. It says light. It wasn't getting worth less. It wasn't getting worn down. Rather, the nafal lenura v'afchos b'chadazimna, it fell into a fire and it got worth less. At one moment, it went from a seller to a shekel. Amar Mar, Master taught. It says, what do you do with the coin? You can't use it anymore. It says, you make a hole in it and you hang it over the neck of your like a chain, right? You hang it over like a necklace. Hang it over your son or daughter's neck. Yes, boys back then wore necklaces. Interesting. But we have a contradiction to this. It says yes and a mishkal bein mishkal leisav. It says you should not use it as a weight. You shouldn't throw it through your pieces of metal. You should not hang it as a necklace on your son or your daughter. Means you cut it, you grind it down, or you wear it, or you cut it. You cut it probably some other way. Or you throw it into the sea, but you can't hold on to it. One place means to melt. Oh, I have yachtich on the side. So melt it. Yeah. Melt it. So I don't know what they do with that thing on the side. Okay. Either melt it or cut it. So Amar Rabbi Lazar, V'amila Rav Huna, Amar Rabbi Lazar. So either Rabbi Lazar said this or Rav Huna says the name of Rabbi Lazar. I don't know if I'm saying the name of Rabbi Lazar. Lekasha, kan be'emtza, kan menatzad. It depends how it was being, how you made the hole in it. If you make the hole on the side, then you may wear it down a little bit more, and then you're going to end up without the hole in it. And you still may fake it as a coin. If you make a hole straight through the center, then that would be acceptable. Yeah, you can cut out the hole.
Again, commentary says that a dishonest person want to make shape the little part out.
Still use it as a coin. Right. They would do that with one of those old phone machines. They would put a hole in the quarter or something, or the nickel, drop it down with the string and pull it back up. So there was a click somewhere along the way that would. Anyway, okay. Ad masay mutal hachser. How long does a person have to return the coin? To say that the coin that you gave me is not its original value. And it was more than the ina amount, which was a machlekes. Rabbi reviewed the Reb Shimon. So it says bekrachim if it's in a city ad shir l'shulchani, until the amount of time it takes to show it to a banker. Bekvarim if it's in a village ad arvi shabbos until erev Shabbos. Ma'ishna beselik the maflig, ma'ishna betalis delay maflig. Why did we make a difference only by the coin between if it's in a city, if it's in a village or a city, and when it came to buying a garment that someone was being overcharged? So over there, we didn't say that there was a difference between a city or a village. We said as long the amount of time it takes to show it to a merchant or to a relative. Over here, you're telling me it depends if it's a city or a village. How'd that come about? Amar Abaya explains, Kitana nami masnisin betalis bekrachim tanan. You know why? That mission over there was only talking about a city. It wasn't talking about a village. That's why it didn't tell you about a village. Over here, we're talking in general. So we gave you both options. Rava says no. You don't have to push the Mishnah into one scenario. Talis kolinish kimli b'gavei. The talis, it actually doesn't matter if it's a city or a village, because a talis, everyone knows its value. Sela, but when it comes to a coin, kivin lav kolinish kimli b'gavei el shulchani. The only person that really knows the value of the coin is the banker. Elkach bekrachim dekashulchani ad shir l'shulchani. Therefore, over there's a difference. If it's a city where there's a banker, then you have the amount of time it takes to show the banker. The kvarim, but if it's a village, the like a shulchani where you don't have a banker, adavi shabbos is to salkim l'shuka, then it's until erev Shabbos where you go to the market, and over there people will know. Okay, because they only shop on erev Shabbos and go shopping during the week. Im hayamakira. If the person recognized that it was his coin, or if he's able to recognize the coin that he gave to that person, even if it's after 12 months from when he exchanged that coin with this fellow, he defrauded him. He gave him a coin that wasn't the original value. He should still take it back. Even though we gave a set time in the Mishnah how long a person has to take it back, which is either a week or the amount of time it takes to show it to a banker. But it says if he recognized it, he should take it back even more. It says, hey, what are we talking about? Where is this? If it's in the cities, it means that over there we said until the amount of time it takes to show it to the banker. If it's the village, the first one is krachim. If it's in the village, yeah, then you have until erev Shabbos. So where were you saying over here that you have a year? No one said a year. It's either till a banker or till Friday. Rav Chizda says, Midas Chasidish Shanukan. We're going beyond the law. But here, really, Minadin, the person only has the amount of time until to show it to a banker, or the amount of time till Friday. But according to Midas Chasidus, if he wants to go beyond the law, then even up to a year, he should still take it back. Where says let's go a little further. So if you look back at the Mishnah, it says that he should take the coin back even after a year, and he only has on him complaints. Where it says complaints. Laman, who has complaints? Il Chassid, are we talking about the guy that just took it back? Chassid doesn't complain. That doesn't say that. Chassid doesn't complain. It says, why did he take it from him if now he's going to complain about it? He doesn't have to take it. Don't take it and don't complain. No, we're talking about the guy that originally was defrauded. See, the chassid is now that defrauded the fellow is now taking it back. It's interesting. So we're talking about the person that was originally defrauded, that was given a coin that wasn't the right value. So he has complaints. Where it says what? After the person exchanges it for him because now he has complaints against him, it says Hachikamar. We're talking about that someone that's not a chassid, that doesn't take it back. Over there, the person can only have complaints against him. I know he doesn't have to take it back, but nevertheless, he can still complain about that because he should be a chassid. He's complaining. He should take it, even though he doesn't minadin, he doesn't have to. Okay. No, that was a question. After he gets the money back, he still complains. So we said no. We're talking about someone that does not exchange it for him. So on him, he can complain. Why? And why does he just complain? Because he had a set amount of time to exchange it, and he missed the time. So, okay, now we enter into the discussion of Ma'aser Sheni. This takes us on to the next page. Daf and Gimel is Ma'aser Sheni. And it continues on to Nandalit as well. We'll learn tomorrow, B'ezras Hashem at 9 o'clock. All right, that makes sense. Yeah. Where will we learn? I'm just learn downstairs. No, there's going to be a minion downstairs. We'll learn upstairs. It's going to be davening the early minion. Come up here. Okay. So, it could be. I think that the sign said there is. Okay. Now it says, there's a rule by Ma'aser Sheni. Ma'aser Sheni is the second tithe. You take a 1/10 of your produce twice. First one you give to a Levi. Second one, at least in the first base of English. Second one, you take it to Yerushalayim and you eat it over there. Yeah. So because there's a problem, because you don't want to schlep so much food, and because the airlines don't give you free luggage, so you have to. What you do is you exchange the food for money. Then when you get to Yerushalayim, you spend that money in Yerushalayim on food in Yerushalayim. Well, what type of money can you use? Well, you can use these coins. Even the coins that's already been shaven down a little bit, you can still use that coin, because someone that won't take that coin is just a nefesh, it's just a stingy person. Yeah. So comparing it to like the kid that won't take 2 halves of a cookie because it's broken, he only wants the whole cookie. So that's not it works. If it's the same thing, it works. It's good enough.
Yesterday brought it up.
So what? The crispy dollar, right? Amar Rav Papa says, Shmamina, we see from this, the person that's very particular about which coins he gets is a nefesh ra, is a bad soul. What is that? How do they translate it over there? They have a word for a nefesh ra? Okay. Ungenerous. Okay. Bahani mili hu desagilu. That's only if you can use it. If it's in circulation, then it's fine. Messiah Leila Chizkiya, this supports something that Chizkiya said. Damar Chizkiya. Chizkiya says, Bola Parta, someone wants to redeem his Meiser Sheni, then part of B'Shavia. No, if he wants to exchange this coin, he has a coin that's worn down. He wants to exchange this coin, so he has to exchange it not for its original value before it was worn down. He has to exchange it for its current value after it's been worn down. But if he wants to use it to redeem Meiser Sheni, then Mechala B'Yafa, he exchanges it as if it's the original value. So which means he can redeem more Meiser Sheni than what this coin is actually worth right now. My Kamar, what does Chizki mean to say? The Zachi Kamar. What he means to say is Afpisha Kabbalah part of B'Shavia Mechala B'Yafa. Says even though this coin, if you would try to exchange it, you won't be able to get that value. When it comes to Meiser Sheni, you can exchange more Meiser Sheni than the current value. L'meimra, does this mean to say the Savar Chizkiya, the Mizal Salinan b'Meiser Sheni, that Chizkiya holds that we can treat Meiser Sheni as cheap, that you can redeem it for more than the current value of this coin? But Chizkiya says no. Meiser Sheni Shem B'Shava Pruta. You see, in order to exchange something, it has to have a certain value. You just have one little small nut or something, and you want to exchange it for money. But if it doesn't have the value of a Shava Pruta, you can't exchange it yet. So what do you do over here? Chizkiya says, if it doesn't have a Shava Pruta, so Aimer, what you say is you do is you say, well, yesterday I had Meiser Sheni that I redeemed. And of course, when I redeem Meiser Sheni, I never redeem it exactly. I always redeem it for more value than what it really is. Since now I have Meiser Sheni that's less than a Shava Pruta, I probably have leftover credit on my Meiser Sheni from yesterday, because I would never be cheap with Meiser Sheni. I would always have extra. So you see that you don't treat Meiser Sheni cheap. And here you're saying that that you can use this coin for Meiser Sheni, even though it doesn't have the original value. Because no one would ever do exactly the Meiser Sheni. They'd always add a little bit. The Gemara says, "My biyafa." What does it mean, biyafa? That you for the full value. What it means is b'teiras yafa, as if it is a real coin. Because we don't want to mistreat it twice. First of all, when it comes to redeeming Meiser Sheni, you have to use a coin and you can't use a blank. Here you're using a coin that isn't a real coin. It's not, that could be considered a blank. Second, you want to use it, redeem it for its original value. That you can't do. That's already two things that are cheapening Meiser Sheni. You only do one, that you use it even though it's similar to a blank, but even though it's not. Igufa. We're going to go back to analyze what Chizkiya said. It's like a very general sugya that comes up over here. Amar Chizkiya. Chizkiya said, Meiser Sheni, Shem B'Shava Pruta, I'm Mehuvachim Shem Chol Al Meiser Shenis. The term gufa that we use is always used when it's quoting Amirayim. And so we're quoting Chizkiya, we're re-quoting Chizkiya. Chizkiya said that Meiser Sheni that doesn't have a Shava Pruta, what you can do is you can redeem it on Meiser Sheni. You can use a coin that was already used for Meiser Sheni to redeem this one, because yesterday you for sure exaggerated a little bit and you used a coin that was larger than what was necessary. So you have some credit there. The Gemara has a question now. Meisvei says a truma of bikurim. When it comes to truma and bikurim, truma is the first gift that's given to the kohen, and it's given 2%. Trei mimeya, truma, trei mimeya. It's given to the kohen. Bikurim are the first fruits. Chayavan alei misa. If someone eats them and he's not a kohen, truma bikurim is chayav misa b'dei shamayim. B'chaimesh, and he also has to pay an extra fifth if he eats it. Basurim lazarim, it's prohibited for anyone to eat it.
Expensive meal.
Yeah. or a kayan that's tummy is the same thing. It's a surah and it can't be eaten by someone that's a non-kayan. The hein nechse kayan, and it belongs to a kayan. Meshachayim, this is excluding the opinion of Reb Meir that you had in Sukkah, who holds that Meiser Sheni is not Mammon, it's not Mammon Kayan, belongs to the Eibishter. Reb Meir held that you weren't allowed to marry a woman with Meiser Sheni money when you get there, even though it's yours to eat, but you can't use it as Kedushin money, because you go to a wedding, you can't walk out with the trays over there. Say, why? They served it to me, I can walk out with it. No. It's meant for you to eat there. It's not really yours. You're allowed to. It's there just to get you to stay. So too, Reb Meir holds that if you take Meiser Sheni money to Yerushalayim, you can't use that money to marry a woman. It's just meant for you to it's being served to you by the Eibishter at the Shulchan Gavaya, at the Hashem's table. However, this opinion here says no, it belongs to you, and you're allowed to marry a woman with it.
So even if you replace it in
you have to add a fifth. Yeah.
No,
and the death, yeah. The death would be also that death would be the mazet. If he eats it by inadvertently, then he gets the fifth. Look at the one that says the death. It should say that if it's was done intentionally.
yes.
Okay. Okay, this is what we're going to be discussing here. I'm sorry. No, they usually quote Rashi. So Rashi says it. Yeah, one word. Big deal. And it's also Eilen over here means that it becomes nullified 1 in 100. If Truma falls into 100 of non-Truma, then you can treat the whole thing as non-Truma. You don't have to treat the whole thing as Truma. If it falls into 99, then it's considered Truma, all 99, right? But if it falls into 100, then it becomes nullified. And you're required to wash your hands before you eat this, because the reason is because your hands are considered a sheni tuma. And when it comes to truma, a sheni will make a shlishi. Yeah, for truma, there's such a concept as a third level. So therefore, your hands will make the food impure. So really, the reason why we wash our hands for food is because of the kayanim that would need to wash the hands for truma. We're still doing that today. Remember that that's why we wash our hands before bread. Why specifically bread is an interesting discussion. The hair of shemesh, and also if someone's tummy, he has to wait for nightfall before he eats truma or bikurim. That's the rule by truma bikurim. Mashenke b'meiser. Meiser is different. Now, what is different about meiser? Well, let's see. Lav bechlal. Does this not imply the meiser batal beruba? That when it came to truma, it was nullified 1 in 100. When it comes to meiser, it would be nullified 1 in 2. Batal berayv. Just by majority. And if you're going to accept what Chizkiah says, that you can always redeem meiser, because you can always say that the meiser sheni that I had before will redeem this meiser now. So we have a very strong question. So then every piece of meiser is something that could be rectified. And anything that could be rectified, even in 1,000, is never bottled. The Gemara in Rashi and Masechtas Beya says that why should you rely on the rules of bittul? Why should we rely on the rules of nullification? Why don't you just wait till it becomes permissible, and then you have it then? We're talking about an egg that's laying on Shabbos or Yom Tov. So why do you, and it falls into another 1,000 eggs? It said why do we say that it's not permitted? So and the reason for that is because why do you have to eat it today? We eat it tonight, after Shabbos, after Yom Tov. So over here as well, why should we say that Meiser should be nullified? Just redeem it. Why do you have to come on to the rules of Bittel? Just redeem it. That's Rashi's pshat. The Ran has another interesting pshat. The Ran says that heter beheter is not bottle. And anything that's a yeshle matirin is considered heter. So it's considered permissible. So if it's permissible already, you can't nullify it. It can't get nullified in its own type. That's the idea. How do you know? You created a question based on an assumption. How do you know that that assumption is correct? That you said, okay, Meiser is going to be different than Truma. Truma is 1 in 100. Meiser is going to be 1 in 2. Now you had a question. So 1 second, but according to Chizkiah, it should never be bottled because it's a davar material. You could always redeem it, even if it's under the size of a prut. You see what we're thinking over here is that if it's the size of a prut, then you could redeem it anyway. Of course, it's not bottled. But we're thinking about a case when it should be under the size of a pruta, that over there it should be bottled because you can't redeem it. Chizkiah comes along and says you can redeem it because yesterday you had Meiser Sheni that had a little extra credit. And you could redeem it from yesterday's. But the Gemara says, Dilmalei bottle klal, maybe what it means is it's not nullified at all. Truma is nullified 1 in 100. Meiser Sheni is not nullified at all. You can't say that. Because that would mean that Meiser is being stricter than Truma. And because we had a brisa that was explaining this brisa or Mishnah, I don't know. Looks like a Mishnah. Because he had a Mishnah that's saying the chumras of Truma. So of course it's not telling me the leniencies of Truma versus Meiser, which is going to be more stricter. Where Meiser is never bottled. No, it can't be saying that. It must be saying that Meiser is bottled at a linear, more lenient. The Gemara says, no, that's not true. But Katani ve'nechse kayan. You see it saying the leniencies of Truma. It says that a kayan can use Truma to marry a woman. That's a leniency. That's not a stringency. It says, Leisal kadaita. Don't think like that. The Tanya Behedia is taught clearly that's not a question because Meiser Sheni, we have a clear price that says Meiser Sheni, bottle beruba. Meiser Sheni is bottle. Okay. Which Meiser Sheni is it referring to? Meiser Sheni Shem B'Shava Pruta. Talking about a Meiser Sheni that doesn't have a Shava Pruta. Why is it bottle? Because it's not a davar sheish l'matirin. Because you can't fix it any other way. Because you can't redeem it. Because it's not a Shava Pruta. It doesn't have the value of that the smallest coin. Shenichnas Yerushalayim v'yatza. It came into Yerushalayim and then it went out. And if we'll accept what Chizkiah says, see, if it's in Yerushalayim, then why do you have to make it bottle? Just eat it. You're allowed to eat it in Yerushalayim. You would only need to make it bottle if it's not in Yerushalayim, and you're not allowed to eat it outside Yerushalayim. So you want to say that it's bottle. So it has to be that it was in Yerushalayim but left. Or maybe you can say that it never came to Yerushalayim. We'll see why it came to Yerushalayim and then it left. If Chizkiah is correct, why don't we just follow what Chizkiah's suggestion is, that you redeem it based on yesterday's Meiser Sheni, that you had a little extra credit, and if you can do that, then we're going to say that it's a davar sheish l'matirin and it shouldn't be bottled. Davar sheish l'matirin, anything that has a way out, it's permissible. It's not bottled. My answer is Deloy Parek. Yesterday you didn't redeem Meiser Sheni. Simple answer. The whole kasha was based on, since yesterday you redeemed Meiser Sheni, so you should be able to have a little bit of extra credit for today. And why should it be bottled? You could use yesterday's Meiser Sheni. Yesterday you didn't redeem Meiser Sheni. The Gemara says, okay, okay, so bring Meiser Sheni now and combine it, and you'll be able to nullify it based on the credit that you get from what you're doing now. You always do a little bit extra. The Gemara answers, you can't do that because the Meiser Sheni that you have right now is chayiv midaraisa. The ma'aser sheni that you have mixed into the chulin, to the other produce is batal midaraisa. It's only midarabanan. I say davar sheish matirin lebatal. I only say that's a rabbinic law, and I can't redeem a biblical ma'aser sheni together with a rabbinic ma'aser sheni. Where it says, okay, so bring rabbinic ma'aser sheni. V'nesi demai, bring demai. This is produce that was purchased from an amaretz, which rabbinically you're obligated to take separate ma'aser sheni, and then you'll be able to redeem all of it together. Dilma asi la'asi vada. We don't want you to do that because then we're concerned that maybe you're going to take not demai, but you're going to take vadai, and vadai is not going to be redeemed together with the derabana. V'nesi shtei prutas v'nachal aleim ma'aser pruta umechta v'nachal hai al hayfisera. Take 2 coins. Take ma'aser sheni that has the value of a pruta and a half, and then with the remaining half a pruta, you'll be able to redeem this other ma'aser sheni. It says misavres pruta mechta tafsa shtei tafsa shtei prutas loy pruta tafsa pruta v'chatzi pruta loy tafsa. Do you think that that when you have 1.5 prutas, do you think that those 1.5 prutas are going to be redeemed? What really happens is 1 pruta gets redeemed for the 1 pruta. The half a pruta doesn't get redeemed at all. If you want to join it with this other half a pruta, then what's going to happen is you have a deraisa derabanan, other havali deraisa derabanan, deraisa derabanan. Let me start for you. You can't do it like that. Where it says v'nesi yisser. So why don't you bring a larger coin? The Gemara says dilmasi lasuyi prutas. We're afraid that you're going to bring small coins, so we don't let you do that either. We said that we're talking about ma'aser sheni that came into Yerushalayim and then left. It says, why don't you just bring it back in? That's why you're saying that it's batal. Just bring it back into Yerushalayim. Once it's brought back into Yerushalayim, you eat it over there beheter. And why should we say that we should rely on the rules of bittul? Just bring it back to Yerushalayim. The Gemara answers, Bishanitma, it became Tamei. Gemara says, Vinifrika. So then redeem it. Damar Abelazar, Minayin Lamaishin Shnitma Shapait Naisay Afilu, Yerushalayim. He's told that you're even allowed to redeem Ma'aser Sheni in Yerushalayim. Usually in Yerushalayim, you can't redeem Ma'aser Sheni because in Yerushalayim you're supposed to eat the Ma'aser Sheni, not redeem it. The whole point of redeeming it was because it was too hard to schlep. But once it comes to Yerushalayim, you shouldn't be redeeming it. But then the Rebbe Lazar holds that if it becomes tamei, then you're allowed to redeem it in Yerushalayim because since you can't eat it you can't eat it when it's tamei. What you have to do is you have to redeem it, and then you buy new food that's not tamei. Because he wasn't able to carry it. Here means he wasn't able to eat it. Okay, so why can't we say that you just redeem it even in Yerushalayim? We're talking about that it was already purchased. I had money from Ma'aser Sheni because I redeemed my Ma'aser Sheni properly when I was at home. I brought the money to Yerushalayim and I bought new food. And now this food is already purchased with the redemption of Ma'aser Sheni. This food's not supposed to be redeemed. No, this can be redeemed. If you can redeem this as well. Gemara says, it's following the other opinion that says that once Ma'aser Sheni was redeemed, and then with that money you bought new Ma'aser Sheni, and then that Ma'aser Sheni becomes Tameh. Now you're already not allowed to redeem it anymore. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. You have to bury it. Rabbi Yehuda, if it's Rabbi Yehuda, my area yatsa fil yatsanami. So why do we have to have a case where it left Yerushalayim and then it went back in and then it became Tameh? And now it's mixed in with another who knows how much chulin, and you want to say that it's batal, right? We should say that it's not batal because we have ways out. If it's Rabbi Yehuda that says that you don't have any way out, so why do you have to give the case where it left Yerushalayim and then Alaylam Betar? Really, we're talking about that it didn't become Tameh. My yatsa, what does it mean it left Yerushalayim? The nafal mechitzas. The walls of Yerushalayim fell down, and Ma'aser Sheni can only be eaten if the walls are standing. Like a very historical case, exactly at the time when the walls of Yerushalayim fell. So Rava says mechitzas lechol deiraisa, mechitzas lichli derabanan. When it says in the Torah that you have to eat it in Yerushalayim, that's a biblical law that the walls need to be there. And but this concept where that you can't redeem it anymore once it's entered into Yerushalayim, that's only a rabbinic law that you need the walls there. And when the rabbis make that law, that's only if the walls are there. But if the walls aren't there, like Rabbanan, you should still be allowed to redeem it. Because they only said that you can't redeem it once it comes into Yerushalayim if the walls are there. But here the walls aren't there. The Gemara says, once it comes to Yerushalayim, the rabbis didn't make a distinction. Rav Huna bar Yehuda Amar Rav Sheshas Chadaktani. He says that it's one teaching. Ma'aser Sheni she'ein by Shavapruta shenichnas Yerushalayim v'yatza. Ma'aser Sheni that doesn't have a Shavapruta, that was brought to Yerushalayim, and then it was left to Yerushalayim. The Gemara asks, why do you say that it's batal, that it's nullified? Just bring it back to Yerushalayim and eat it there. It says the nafal mechitza is because the walls of Yerushalayim fell, and now you can't eat it anymore. So we want to say it's batal. So it says, so just redeem it. Amar Rava, didn't Rava say mechitz lechel deraisa, mechitz liklei derabanan? The fact that you can't redeem it, that's only a rabbinic law once it's brought into the Yerushalayim. But when did the rabbi say that? That's only if the walls are there. But if the walls aren't there, they never said that. The money answers like plug rabbanan. The rabbis don't make distinctions like that. And even if the walls aren't there, once it's in Yerushalayim, you can't redeem it anymore. That's the case. Why do we have to say we're dealing with a case but you don't have a Shavapruta? Even if it is a Shavapruta, still can't be redeemed, and it falls into something, it should be batal. It says Laimi by Kamer. No, not only. It's what's saying, and not only. Laimi by Yesh by, not only if there is a Shavapruta, the cult and that the walls of Yerushalayim accepted it, now it can't be redeemed anymore. But if it doesn't have like cult mechitzas, if it doesn't have a prut, I could say that the walls of Yerushalayim didn't accept it, didn't absorb it, and therefore it should still be allowed to be redeemed. Kamash malan, that it can't be redeemed. Okay, let's leave it over here. The Tanur Rabbanan. Okay. Tomorrow we'll learn it. That's at 9 o'clock. In the morning, yeah.